we advise deals with some heavy topics and subjects, such as mental health, suicide, sexual assault, and more. Please listen at your own discretion and please seek professional help if you are struggling. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Hello everyone. Before I get into the crux of today's episode, I just wanted to give a bit of a heads up. I understand that if you're a regular listener, you understand that this is a mental health podcast for a reason. I'm very open, I'm very raw, I rarely edit anything. So with that being said, obviously I'm going to be talking about how I feel. Because of everything going on with my grandfather at the moment, if you've listened to the past few episodes, you understand. That I'm sure you can understand that until that circumstance happens, it's likely a lot of content before then is going to be related around that topic or the topic of death. And I apologize, I do try to break it up if or when I can, so it's not so morbid, but unfortunately that's just the reality of my life at the moment. So I can understand if you're going through something similar or something different but just can't handle listening to these episodes. I can understand if you don't. As per usual, there's always some sort of description or trigger warning in the description of each episode, so don't feel bad to not listen in. I appreciate all the support regardless. So I just wanted to say that now and not have to really repeat it again in any other episodes, but just understand that I understand if this is too much for people. I get it, because it's too much for me half the time. With that being said, I'm recording this the same day I'm going to release it because I forgot to record. But to be honest, I haven't really had a lot to record about because I haven't really known how I feel. Right now it just feels like another day, another dollar, and another week of waiting. And it's such a morbid thing to think about. You're waiting for death. You're waiting for someone to die. Like, that's a horrible thought. But reality is that's what it is. I had a voicemail left on my phone on Friday while I was working. And it scared the shit out of me, to be honest. I didn't recognize the phone number, but I listened to the voicemail and it was some guy saying, "Sorry for your loss. Your father was a great man." And all your condolences and whatnot. And because I was working, I didn't listen to it properly. And I actually thought it said, "Sorry for the loss of your grandfather, not your father." So I kind of freaked out and I was like, why am I getting this random voicemail from someone I don't know? Before I even get the call from my dad to say that his dad passed away. And then I had to click and realize that wasn't the call. It was just someone leaving a voicemail for the wrong person. Which, on a side note, why would you do that? If you're getting through to someone's voicemail, which, by the way, says my name, so I don't know why he kept it going. But why would you leave a voicemail for condolences? It's just so impersonal. And the way he was talking about it was they were besties, or he was friends with this guy's dad for years and years. And I'm like, I understand a lot of the older generations don't know how to use technology or still aren't quite up to date with phones or mobiles. But this was weird. It just left me a very odd vibe. But then I spent the rest of the day thinking, what if today is the day? What if I get that call? What if I get that message? And then I got fixated on it, and it's just been weird. and I've just been in a really weird mood since. And it's not necessarily a bad mood. It's not really good or bad, it's just a mood. Like, I don't feel depressed or anything like that, surprisingly. I mean, that's new. Usually I'm feeling depressed about something. But I don't know. I've never been in this situation before. And it's just really confusing more than anything. Like, I've had people pass away in my life. I've had people, been in accidents. But, like, most of that I was a lot younger, so I wasn't aware of a lot of stuff leading up to it. Like, my great-grandparents both also died from cancer on the other side of the family. And I didn't know either of them even had cancer because I was so young, my parents kept it away from me. Well, my mum. My dad wasn't in the picture at the time. And I think that's probably the only parental thing she did. Let's make sure I wasn't aware that my great-grandparents were dying both times. But anyway. But I went to the funerals. So I'm used to... It's not that I'm not used to death. I'm just not used to this prolonged wait beforehand. But then it got me thinking, if I feel like this, how the fuck does he feel? He knows it's coming. Like, you're sitting there in a nursing home. Don't get me wrong, the nursing home is nice for what it is. But you're sitting there alone in a nursing home, quite literally waiting to die. And he doesn't seem scared. He kind of just seems like he wants it over with, which is understandable, especially since he's been in pain. But there's just so many questions that arise that I don't know how to answer, and I don't know if they ever will be answered. Because this is just a strange situation to be in. Every single time I see my phone light up from my dad, whether it be a message, a call, a Facebook message, anything, I'm thinking, that is it. That is the one. That is the time. And it's just like constantly being on eggshells. And what's worse is that I'll possibly have like a 5-minute or maybe an hour-long period, or maybe I'm watching a movie and I'm surprisingly able to zone out. But then when I come back to reality, I feel bad for zoning out. Like, I should be sitting here sad and depressed and waiting, not enjoying myself or living life. And I know he would want me to. Like, he doesn't want me sitting around moping. But it's just, I don't know. Everything just feels wrong. Everything feels wrong. Everything feels bad. And until it happens, I just so all over the place. I just don't know. And I know people are picking up on it. Like, I know people are picking up on my vibe, and I'm being shorter than usual with people. If you know me, you know I can be a bit short. I'm very hot-headed. It runs in the family. But, I just don't know. I'm very aware that I've been secluding myself. And not to the point where I'm not having any contact with anyone at all. I just don't think I'm letting many people in properly. And I've always done that to an extent, but this is different. This isn't me keeping someone afar because I don't trust them or I have my own insecurities. This is why put my burden on other people? Why make them depressed or upset or sad or whatever the case is, just because I feel a certain way? Like, to me, that's not fair, especially because this is something that I cannot help. Like, it's not like I'm going through a situation that's going to change sometime soon, or some amazing piece of advice is going to make a difference. Like, it is as crystal clear as it possibly can be. I am here, I'm alive and well, and I'm in Melbourne. I have a relative who is literally on their deathbed in Canberra, which, if you're not from Australia, is the capital of Australia. It's not Sydney, but we won't go there. It's in the state. Well, actually, it's the territory, if we're going to get specific. It's Australian Capital Territory. Regardless, it's about an hour flight from Melbourne. And there's nothing I can do about it. I'm here, I'm sitting, I'm living life, and I feel like I shouldn't be living life, because why should I be happy or content or okay with what's going on when they're sitting there somewhat alone, dying? I never thought in a million years I'd have to have, not that I have to have, but that I'd have these thoughts or have to deal with something like this. Because you never really think about it. You hear stories of other people going through it. Like, one of my best friends on the planet, her father passed away from cancer as well, and she's been a huge rock in all this process. But even then, you still don't think it can happen to you. Because so many people in scenarios, death is instant. It's 1 minute you're talking to them, the next minute they're gone, and you're processing the death. But this is almost like a never-ending process. This is like you're dealing with it for ages. And my dad, like, he's trying so hard to just go through it all, because I'm not going down the family tree, but I'm just going to say it's his father to some extent. He was adopted within the family, but that's as much as I'm going into that. And, you know, he'll call and he'll be like, oh, your pop is doing well today. And then 10 minutes later, it could be your pop's taking a turn. And it's just such a fucking ride. It's not like I'm sitting here watching him deteriorate. It's literally, he could have a day where he just looks, I'm not going to say good, but he looks better than other days. And it's almost like false hope, because you know it's coming, it's going to happen regardless, but you're hanging on to that hope that he's going to be around. But then on top of that, you're also thinking you don't want him to be in pain and you don't want him to deal through all of this, so you kind of want him to pass away. And then you feel bad for thinking that. And it's this vicious fucking circle. And then on top of that, I'm finding I'm getting really frustrated really easily with really mundane things. Once again, I've always been hot-headed, but I've found since going through this, it's like I'm myself with a twist. Like, I'm slightly different. I'm not wholeheartedly 100% myself that I would usually be. And I feel like it varies. Like, one day you'll get content Ebony. The next day you'll get what I'm going to call fake happiness Ebony, because I feel happy. And during that, that time and that process, I think I'm happy when deep down I know I'm not. Or not that I'm not happy, but, that I'm dealing with this. And then other times you'll get upset Ebony. Other times you'll get angry Ebony. And it's just like, I am so all over the place all the time that I almost feel like it's a lucky dip. And, on top of that, I've heard my mother could be fucking moving to closer to me, which I think I touched on in the last episode. I'm not going to lie, I don't remember a lot of what I said. I've blocked out a lot of stuff, but between that and then my grandfather and I don't know, it's just a hot mess. It's just a hot mess at the moment. So if you're someone who talks to me on a personal level, I apologize if I've come off in any particular way recently. A lot of the time I don't realize it till after or later down the track. And it's unfair. It's unfair on those around me. It's unfair on those I'm talking to. So if I have come across a certain way, I apologize. But, yeah, I don't know. This whole process is very new to me, very confusing. Been really weird to just work through it as well, like actually my job, like to work through it, and it's just a hot mess. That's all I can call it, is a hot mess. But yeah, I don't know if there's much more I can say, so I'm going to end the episode here. I'm sorry that these episodes are all over the place. I'm sorry if it's too much for you guys. But yeah, as I've always said, this podcast has always been a raw, almost therapy session for me. And thank you so much for the love and support you guys have provided along the way. But yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing, fantastic day. I'm about to start work, so that's fun. And yeah, you'll hear from me in 2 weeks, provided I remember, because I'm a hot mess, like I keep saying. Alright guys, enjoy your days. Thank you for listening. Hi, like what you heard? Need a bit more Nuggiez in your life? Then come follow us on all our socials. That's at SSNUGGIEZ pod on all socials. Linktree is linktr.ee/SS Nuggiez pod as well. Come listen to us on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, Good Pods and more. Come on over, we always need an extra hug. Listener discretion is advised. This is not for the faint of heart. We deal with all topics, so just be aware. But come on over. You're always welcome.